We have always been motivated by the desire to be first in a given physical challenge. No good being second. And if the challenge is out there and no human has yet done it, that makes it doubly attractive. Observing the people who I've selected over 40 years for expeditions, what we look for is they've got to have energy, spirit, and courage, because there may well be risks and you don't want somebody who's going to be a wimp. There was an expedition which was to climb the north face of the Eiger, where my phobia, which I was born with, which is vertigo, really got in the way, and I had to fight really hard to spend 5 days and nights going up the Eiger in the face of vertigo, constantly trying to get at me. I had to try to overcome my mental weakness, so for the remaining 5,500 feet of the cliff, for the next 5 days and 5 nights, I constantly thought only about above and never looked down. And when I got to the top, I was still scared stiff, but at least I'd kept the vertigo from grabbing my brain. Unless you are prepared to push forward over the apparent obstacles, you're not going to get anywhere at all. It's like if you want to go for a run, you look outside the window, you know you ought to go for a run, you sort of want to go for a run, but it's raining. You say, oh, well, I'll put it off till tomorrow. Once that wimpish voice starts coming into your head, that's the time you've got to go and get your running shoes, put them on, put your trainers on, and once the trainers are on, you'll go. You've got to make that first move. I think a pioneering urge is natural to most people. Some people turn out to be couch potatoes, but that urge is basically nascent in most human beings. On the evidence of the amount of colonizing that different countries have done, that is how you gauge whether a particular nation has a big pioneering spirit or not, and therefore the UK has far more colonies than anybody else ever had, and therefore they're probably more pioneering than anybody else. There are today huge opportunities for new pioneers, but they're probably a bit more specialist than they used to be. To look at something like the Dyson vacuum cleaner, a new type of thing. You might have thought a vacuum cleaner, there was no new type of vacuuming, but there is. Any field that you look into, a little bit of imagination, a little bit desire to pioneer, today is just as good as it was 100 years ago. If I had a human inspiration, it would have been my dad. And I can remember on one occasion the story was that he'd gone into a cave, found all these German soldiers, and had forgotten his pistol. So he found his briar pipe, and it looked like a pistol at night, and he held them all up successfully. That sort of story is what I was brought up on, and he became my inspiration. Anyone who feels that they are vegetating, beginning to get a bit bored with the 9 to 5, don't just keep thinking that every few months. When you think it, get out there, do something. Start by camping, then go on, take a trip up a hillside. From the hillside, go to a mountain, or go to a desert, or go to a river, and then a rougher river. You know, get out there, gradually set your heights higher and higher, pioneer, enjoy adventure.